Greetings, cinephiles. Are you looking for a movie analysis podcast that stands above the rest? Then look no further than Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters.
We analyze good movies, we analyze bad movies, and yes, we also analyze the in-betweens of the world of cinema.
So if you like what you hear, find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.
And yes, my friends, we are 420 friendly. So when you listen to us, smoke it if you've got it. And now, here's a new episode of Collateral Gaming. The show starts right now.
I'm Ashley Chancellor.
I'm Zachary Gio.
I'm Megan Gomez.
I'm Dan Rockwood.
And this is Collateral Gaming with
Victims and Villains.
Welcome to Collateral Gaming, the only video game podcast that matters, where we focus on good games, bad games, and everything else in between in the world of gaming. We are podcasting across the United States, and yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast. So whatever you have, smoke it if you've got it. And once again, we have four of us joined together for this episode.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
It's always a party when we can get everyone on.
I know.
Absolutely. Let's hopefully we. Oh God, what? I hope we can. I hope we can survive this episode.
So far, we're not doing too hot. It's okay.
Yeah, I almost crashed and burned right there, but it's okay. Let's stick with it.
So once again on a game launch review, Mr. Dan Rockwood from Victims and Villains, and we've got both Zach and Megan tonight to talk about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. But before we get into that, how's it going, guys?
It's going well. Still getting married. Haven't fucked that up quite yet.
Oh, no.
No, things are going really well. Started a new job. Loving life. Cannot wait. Tears of the Kingdom launches tomorrow, since we're recording the night before the launch of Tears of the Kingdom. So everything is smooth sailing, super happy, and I've missed you guys quite a bit.
Yeah, we've missed you too. So as of the date of recording this, I am moving into a house after 4 years, so I'm freaking stoked. Things are going really well here in Georgia. It's definitely a change from Texas, and I miss my breakfast tacos and my sweet tea that's Texas sweet tea because it's different, and my Big Red for sure. But other than that, things are going really swimmingly. What about you, Ash and Dan? What about you guys?
Well, I could go for some breakfast tacos. That sounds pretty good.
They're so good.
Oh, dude, they slap.
Things have been pretty good with me. My wife and I just bought a house like a few months ago, so we moved into there and set up my game room and did all that. So that's been awesome, and just playing a lot of great games since then. Other than that, nothing major to report apart from a new Zelda game in 2 days. So we've all been psyched about that, and yeah, sleep has been hard to come by. I'm just thinking about Zelda all the time, and we're not talking about Zelda today, but it's on my mind. I'm excited to play it. We're just a couple days away.
Dan, you and I are kindred spirits. I like that. Yep.
Hell yeah. As for me, I just moved to Houston, so this is the first official Collateral Gaming episode with that setup. I just moved into a little apartment by myself, a couple miles from work. I didn't even bring a car with me because fuck driving in Houston traffic.
Absolutely.
And the car that I would have had to take with me was a Standard, and fuck that even more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm getting by via bus and Uber, and it's actually just fine. I'm about 2 miles from the Galleria where I work, and it's a nice little apartment. I like it. It's I mean, for the price that I'm paying, it's actually great.
That's good.
Yes.
Is it like decent size? Like how big is it?
It's a 1-bedroom, but it's pretty spacious for one. Maybe I'll show you guys whenever we get off of this.
Please do, yeah.
Cool.
But
Guys, if you take that part out of context, it sounds really it sounds awful. Oh gosh.
alrighty.
That's exciting.
But yeah, a lot of what I've been doing in this new apartment is playing some Jedi Survivor because, ooh, boy, we have been heavily anticipating this game, right, guys?
Hell fucking
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
so
yeah.
excited.
I'm really pumped for it.
So yeah, we have been waiting for this game ever since its last installment, which was actually the very first episode that Megan appeared on.
Oh yeah.
It's so
Oh.
fun. I can't believe it. We're here at the sequel, and it's what, 4 years later now?
2019 is when it launched, I believe. I think that's when Respawn decided to try their hand at action adventure RPG
They did
type
freaking
stuff.
amazing.
Oh,
I'll tell you
yeah,
what.
they did. Oh, Fallen Order is a bop, and Survivor is doing such a good job following that shit up.
Oh my god. Like, I don't love EA for what they did with the Mass Effect series because they kind of fucked some shit up, but damn do I love Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order.
E.
EA in general can be such a hit or miss, it feels like, and this
Yes.
is definitely a hit for them. But it's funny. So Jedi Fallen Order. So Megan, that was your first episode. I think I joined. My first episode was probably like one of the Legend of Zelda episodes you guys did, and I remember I was playing Fallen Order because I didn't play it at launch. It was a few years after, and so I had mentioned it, and you all loved it so much, and so we're telling me about it. So it's funny how like well tied to this game series this podcast is, and you all are. But yeah, this sequel, it nailed it. I mean, if you like the first game, you'll like this one. If you didn't like the first game, you probably won't like this one. Like, I don't think it doesn't change the formula in a way that, you know, would shift things in a totally different direction, but it definitely gives you more of what made the first game so good.
And
Absolutely.
expands on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, 100%. You can truly see. We're not going to get into spoilers with this episode, obviously, because there are quite a few people who potentially could listen to this and haven't played through the game. But you can definitely see just how not only has EA kind of kept this smooth formula for what made this game work so special as far as like controls, combat, gameplay, fluidity, but also you can tell that Cal is a much more mature he's a Jedi Knight at this point. He's a full-fledged Jedi Knight that is actively working to try and stop the Empire in its tracks. At the very beginning of the game, you can just see that Cal is just he's just moving forward and nothing is going to stop him. And Megan and I have actually been blessed with enough time to actually finish the game. And obviously we're not going to spoil anything for you guys, but the more you progress through the game, the more intense it gets, and it's it's a wild ride, and it's a really, really fun time. That I guess this isn't really a spoiler, but from the get-go, well, no, it's not, because EA mentioned this when they kind of gave us a hint at the game. But you start the game with everything that you finished Fallen Order with, which is perfect because it doesn't hold your hand like a lot of brand new RPG action adventure games with skill trees do. Like God of War Ragnarok was a great game, but they kind of held your hand and you had to start from scratch from the very beginning. And it was a lot more linear, so that was a little bit more painful for me. But with Survivor, you start the game with everything that Cal learned by the end of the previous title, Fallen Order. And it's fantastic because it allows you to just basically jump right in and get right into the action. And it shows you that Cal is this Jedi Knight that has mastered what he knows so far and has not stopped for anything. His passion for stopping the Empire and upholding the Jedi Order is still burning bright. And it's fun because you get to jump right in and it's immersive enough to take you on this journey, which is something that EA did perfectly. And I'm going to get off my soapbox now because there's 4 of us and I'm really sorry.
No, you're fine. I agree. And also something that I see in this game, and, you know, there's a lot of people that, you know, they love Star Wars, but they only like the trilogy, or they, you know, they hate this or whatever. You know, there's always going to be that type of fan in any fandom. But I feel like the developers that are developing this game and others that, you know, they're going to continue to make, because, you know, they're going to try and remake some other titles from what I've heard, or there's been rumors at least. You have real fans of the original George Lucas films, and there's tie-ins to things. There's some little like Easter eggs that you get that tie into the original series, and you can feel like the energy, and you can feel the absolute just trying to think of the word that I'm coming for, like the completion of like the tie-ins and really just like the cohesiveness of the Star Wars universe. Even though you're playing a video game, like it feels like you're watching a Star Wars project, but you're playing the Star Wars project, and you're playing this Jedi Knight that's, you know, somehow caught up in the timeline, and, you know, is just trying to figure things out. As, you know, he was a child when Order 66 happened, and he's just trying to live and literally survive in this new universe. And it was so exciting for me. You know, I wasn't really the biggest Star Wars fan. I was more of a Trekkie up until I was a full-grown adult, because my dad was like, no, Star Trek is better. And y'all know, I've talked about my dad a few times on the podcast. My dad is set in his ways. He's an old man. But sir, my dad is 74. But I really got the chance to feel like a giddy little kid again with this game, because it's just, you feel excited about some things, but there's some things where you're just like, holy fucking shit, like this man is not here to play around or fuck around. Like he is on some Obi-Wan level shit. Like, how many midichlorians you got, motherfucker?
Oh, dude. See, the thing is, I don't think Cal could even touch Darth Vader, and that's what's so special about
that
it.
was prevalent by the end of the first game, right? I mean,
oh yeah, dude, you would be wise to surrender. Yeah,
oh,
probably.
that still gives me chills to this day.
So I will say that I think that these games are like, they actually feel like Star Wars trilogy movies.
Yes.
Just good ones, not the sequels.
All right, Zach. All right.
Good movies, not the sequels.
But down to the music and like even like the little cutaways between scenes and everything. I mean, it's just right there. The storytelling, and I love how the way that this game starts off. You know, like in Coruscant, Cal is in cuffs. He appears to be in custody. I mean, this feels like a second game or a second movie in the trilogy.
Yeah, it feels like Andor.
I haven't watched Andor yet still.
Nor
the
to be honest,
Mandalorian
I haven't
3.
either. It's ass. Don't watch it.
How am I ahead of y'all? I don't understand.
Get on that.
God.
It's
Is Andor really good?
It's so good.
Yeah, it's not my favorite Star Wars thing, but I really like it, and I think everyone should watch it. If you're a Star Wars fan, you should watch it. Yeah, it fills in some really cool gaps before Rogue One, which is one of my favorite movies. So.
Oh, Rogue One is so fucking good, dude.
And it feels like that kind of project. Like it's like everyone didn't know what to expect with Rogue One, and then, you know, everyone loved it even more than the sequels, and it felt like a cohesive project. And then Zach,
I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me.
My heart.
This is the way.
Do you guys think that there are any nods to Andor in this game? I can't say because I haven't watched it.
So I mean, there is mentions of Cal working for Saw Gerrera.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the only.
Yeah.
Which that's the only like feeling that we kind of get. But I mean, like at this point, because this game is 5 years after, so this is 4 ABY. So it's 4 years before the explosion of the Death Star. So that's where we're at in the timeline in this game.
Wouldn't that be BBY?
Or yeah, BBY. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm glad that you looked it up because I didn't. I
did
specifically. I know
I researched it.
5 years after Fallen Order, which is 5 years after the prequels, or Revenge of the Sith specifically.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 10 years after the events of Order 66. You know, we've got this more hardened Cal who's kind of got, you know, a little bit of stubble going on, and you can even customize him and give him a full beard, as you should.
Give him a mullet and a beer can.
Hell yeah, brother.
God, have y'all seen that?
I love that you can just go full redneck with him if you want to. It's phenomenal.
I played the entire game with him just with long hair and a full beard.
I gave him the full beard and the man bun.
As soon as I saw the man bun, Alan screeched and he was like, babe, text Ash. They have the man bun. And I was like, I love you so much. He was like, tell Ash about the man bun. Tell him where to find it. I was like, okay, you got it, babe.
So I got Cal rocking the man bun because, you know,
man bun and the full beard.
You know, I just got it, and the full beard. Yeah. I love how many customization options they give you. The last game lets you pick ponchos and the color of your clothes, and you could pick BD1's color and the Mantis's color. This game lets you customize the color of each individual item of clothing. It lets you change Cal's beard and hair, and and each piece of clothing. It lets you change the appearance and color of every single one of BD's components, of the lightsaber components in even more detail from the last game, and of course the blaster, which is new to this one.
Did you know that whenever you change the color of the lightsaber, it changes the sound of the lightsaber?
I didn't know
I
that.
did not
It's
know that.
very slightly, but it does.
That
Also,
is
if you're not
cool.
rocking the white like Ahsoka, you're wrong.
I rock the
Just
purple.
saying. That's fair.
I
love
know
Mace
it's
Windu.
canonically blue, and in most games I'd like to go with the canon, but I don't know. As soon as like in Fallen Order, when it lets you pick, and purple was one of the options, I went with it, and that was before there was an official canon color. Although I guess from like the flashbacks, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
In this game, I decided at the first opportunity I got, I was gonna have to stick with the purple, because fuck yeah, Sam
Also-
motherfucking Jackson purple.
True. Also, can we just talk about Cameron Moynihan's performance in this game? He
Oh,
is an
fantastic.
incredible actor,
Mhm.
but he really brings this character to life, and I love how dedicated he is to the character. So when he was talking about the game at Star Wars Celebration, he was like, "Yeah, that's great and all, but does Cal get his fucking poncho?" And I'm like, "Yes, Cameron Moynihan, yes." Like,
I
he's
love that
so-
clip so much.
Me too. He's so dedicated to his character, and he's a big Star Wars fan, and I love that he like loves the series so much that he like is this invested in it and is just as invested as the fans. Also, y'all, I'm just speaking it into existence now. This is not a spoiler because it's been out for quite some time, but BD1 was in The Mandalorian. So canonically, somewhere Cal Moynihan exists, or Cal Moynihan.
Yeah, this
Cal
game is canon to my knowledge.
Yeah,
So-
it's canon. The whole series
Yeah.
should be canon at this point. I mean, let's
Yeah.
be real.
Everything
Cameron
that's-
Moynihan. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead, brother.
Also,
Go ahead.
everything that Disney puts out, or everything that's put out and approved by Disney, is canon at this point. It's just rest
Yeah.
assured.
And he
Did
was
Disney
in a
have
commercial with
anything-
Mark Hamill, so
I was about to say, did Disney
he
have
was-
anything to do with?
This game, no.
Yeah, the
But
game-
They posted
but they
about it,
okayed
though.
it. They greenlit
Yeah.
it, obviously.
Yeah, the Disney relationship is so bizarre with the video games because when they took over Lucasfilm, they kind of dissolved LucasArts as a studio, which had been doing the Star Wars games up to that point. And then EA was able to kind of take over and fill that gap. And again, with hits and misses, it's like they had, they rebooted Battlefront and Battlefront 2, which had good and bad parts to it. But then Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor is where they've really hit their stride with this.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's evident that it is being made by a team of Star Wars fans and by people who understand the material.
Yep.
I don't know who the game director or the designer is. I wish I did. But I know on the show side of things, you've got Dave Filoni, you've got Jon Favreau. Like, they're so committed to making sure they get this right. And I feel like there are, multiverse versions of them on the game side now, kind of making sure that the video games get it right. And that's really cool to see as a fan.
So I credit
Yes.
Respawn Entertainment, the developers of this game, despite EA. That's the way we put it in the first episode too. With
Yeah.
Fallen Order, is in spite of EA, Respawn managed to make a great game. I mean, and this is the same game studio behind Apex and Titanfall, right?
Yep, Titanfall.
Right, because Titanfall and Apex are in the same universe, aren't they?
Yep, they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Respawn has done a great job once again. I think one of the things we were worried about in the Fallen Order episode, you remember, Megan? We were like, EA, please don't fuck this up. Because what it appears that they did is that they let Respawn, or this specific team of developers at Respawn, do their own thing.
Yes.
And it worked. And so, the hope here is just keep letting them do that. And thankfully they did. Seems to be very little interference from the big evil mega corporation EA, which is good because, I think this game is it's everything that the first game was, like you said earlier, Dan, and even more. I mean, my only complaints are it did come out a little unpolished, and that I will blame EA for. That's where like deadlines start coming in. And what's funny is they delayed the game once, right? But I feel like they could have delayed it a little bit more. I mean, was there really a whole lot of pressure to get it 2 weeks before Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom?
It's about to say, you take that back.
Yeah, I mean it's not like it's like a major, first party game that like Sony or Microsoft would be trying to push out, right? So they have more flexibility with those release windows if they wanted to. I think for the most part, and I mean we can get the negative out of the way because in my opinion there aren't that many, but the performance issues at launch were definitely part of it.
Yeah.
I encountered some of it. I'm playing on PS5. But I found if I was in performance mode, that's where I would see screen tearing and that's where the game would crash. On quality mode, yeah, the frame rate would be locked, but it's an amazing looking game and it was stable for me. And they have since released patches to help with the stability of it. So, I mean, I don't think for me it wasn't game breaking, but I do know people who have said that every like half hour of playing their game would crash. And Zach, I think you had like your performance issues were worse than mine, right?
Yeah, it made me feel like my PS5 was shitting the bed, but for literally every 30 seconds or so, I would have massive screen tearing, insane frame drops. It was bad. Yeah, that update completely changed the game for me. I actually really didn't enjoy. I got about 2/3 of the way through the game before they dropped that update, and I actually hated the game up until that point because with what was going on, I didn't really vibe with the story. I didn't really vibe with how the game was running. I wasn't enjoying it. And then I got to a part in the story that kind of changed my mind about the whole thing. It made everything make sense. And they dropped the update and I was like, holy shit, this game's fucking awesome. And so, but yeah, my PS5 had like full on diarrhea when the game came out. It was
wow. Okay, so
didn't notice anything at first, and I'm also playing on PS5. But
the right way to play.
After you mentioned it, I did notice a couple frame drops, in some of the more like intensive areas. I did notice some frame drops. Since the update, I haven't noticed it. So I think they did a good job with the update. I heard the PC release was really bad.
Yeah, rest in peace to all the PC players.
I heard that too. I have a friend who's playing it on PC, and they're having a really rough time with it. Alternatively, I played it on the Xbox because we played the first one on the Xbox, and it ran beautifully. The only time we had crashes, and I don't know if it's because the system got too hot, because it is a very large game, even though we have the new 1S. I know that, this is inevitable regardless of what gaming system. If you're playing for 6 fucking hours and it's a big game like this, things are going to happen. I think we only had a few crashes, honestly. We had like 1 or 2 screen tears whenever Alan was just going like a fucking ham because, that's Alan. But other than that, we had really great performance on the Xbox One S. It played beautifully. We had a great time with it. I didn't really notice any issues, but yeah, from y'all and from friends that have PC, they noticed a lot of issues. But the only thing I had was after like 5-6 hours of play, and we had been going through the really tough parts, is when we would have crashes.
I had like 1 crash, I think, but that does seem to be a recurring trend, and it might have to do with the fact that when you're developing for a console, you're developing for a like dedicated hardware, it's going to be the same graphics card and everything.
It's not variable. Yeah.
It's a
but
known
there's
quantity.
a lot more variables with PC.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When I was at PAX East this year, I spoke with a developer while I was demoing a game, and I asked him about preview codes specifically for getting a closer look. And he said, yeah, like we'll definitely be interested. And I asked about platform availability, and he said, well, whenever we do like review codes, we like to send them out on PS5 or whatever console. The reason is that they know for the reviewer, they're getting a very like curated experience on console. And he's like, I've had issues with PC. I sent a PC code to somebody, and they're using like a onboard like motherboard graphics card, like they're not using like good specs, and it's a mess. And that will affect the review of the game when really the game was fine. They're just playing it on a crappy piece of hardware. So I have found that developers tend to prefer to like showcase their games on console. And I usually like I really like my gaming PC, but I prefer to play on console usually anyways. Just because like I have a desk job. I sit at a computer all day. So when I want a game, I want to like lay on my couch and play a game.
Exactly.
Take that, PC Master Race.
Exactly.
To be honest, I think we're getting to the point where PCs are great and all that, but nothing beats comfort of sitting on a couch, just playing a console leisurely, not worrying about competitive bullshit. And Survivor honestly is a prime example. Like, I think that we for the past few years we've kind of been in an age of unoriginality where things have been and I mean there's a lot of good things about that. You know, there have been a lot of remasters, revamps, a lot of things that have been kind of
Bringing back
revitalized.
childhood.
I
Yeah.
mean, to be honest, me and Ash popped the hell off when they announced Metroid Prime Remastered, but it's a remaster of Metroid Prime. And while that was a lot of fun, I want Metroid Prime 4. We're not talking about that, but the beginning of 2023 has been a prime time for games.
Yeah.
We have gotten Jedi Survivor, we got Ragnarok last November. We're getting Tears of the Kingdom tomorrow night at midnight. Later on this year, we're getting Spider-Man 2. It's just we're entering a time where there's so many new things coming out that are just vamping us gamers up and getting us excited to enjoy these things. And Survivor kind of took that and sprinted with it because
Yeah.
it gave you the chance to kind of sit down and immerse yourself in, you know, the world of Cal Kestis again, because everybody who played Jedi Survivor fucking loved it. If you have an issue with Survivor, I'm sorry, or not Survivor, but if you have an issue with Fallen Order, then obviously you and I played a very different game because that game is incredible.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
this game, Survivor, was a chance to dive back into that world and continue that story. And it does a beautiful job of being gripping and pulling you in and not letting go. Like I
You
finished the
think
game
about it the entire time. It's like
Mhm.
Ragnarok. It sucks you the fuck in.
When I went to
Oh,
work,
yeah.
I would think about that shit while I was at work. And as soon as I'd get home, I'd play. So when games manage to kind of suck you in and keep you enveloped, and honestly, shout out to Respawn for taking their formula for allowing you to play game after game after game on games like Apex and take that immersiveness and put it into a story-driven game. And shout out to EA for letting them take the reins on it. It really shows just how far we've come, and it makes me really excited for the future. So I love Survivor, and it kind of sucks that we can't dive into spoilers, but you should really have a chance to play it and experience it for yourself.
Oh, 100%. And that's
the
one thing.
Exploration in this game alone. I'm sorry, Megan. Go ahead.
You're fine. That's what I was gonna say. You were talking about like the gaming industry. That's one thing too. Is I feel like the gaming industry and like even creative content in itself, like movies and shows and stuff, we go through ebbs and flows as a society. So we have times where it's like like you were talking about like revamps and remasters. Like people are getting older and they're wanting to show their kids or they're wanting to play these games again, but they sold their GameCube or whatever. So we get to dive back into that sense of nostalgia, which brings us in and gets us interested in gaming again for us to be ready for the new stuff. So it's like rewatching, an old season of a show before the new season starts, in my personal opinion. And I love that we kind of have that because it's not like hitter after hitter after hitter. You get a little bit of an ebb, and then there's the flow of these new amazing games of here's Ragnarok, here's Fallen Order, here's Tears of the Kingdom. Like it's like you get ready. It's like the roller coaster going back up for that exciting new drop. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah, I just hope the drop doesn't take us so low that we don't get a bunch of new stuff for a while. I'm sorry.
That's
Dan,
true.
That's what's thrilling about it, though. And I just started watching through Gilmore Girls for the first time, so I hear exactly what you're saying with going back. Zach doesn't like that. But this, I'm on so the area I'm still like fairly early in the game. I mean, I'm maybe like 10 hours in, but this is a big ass game.
It is.
And
yes, it is.
I'm in. There's a very cool, like the planets and locations in this game are so cool, and I'm in a really amazing desert area. And it reminds me of, do any of you remember when the PS5, before it launched, when they were doing press for it, they showed a technical demo and they showed what could be a like a Tomb Raider demo, but it wasn't Tomb Raider. It was just a like third party thing they put together, but it was someone exploring a tomb. And they showed like the polygon count, like everything on the walls and how the lighting was affected. And they showed the load times, like they showed what this console could do. And Jedi Survivor feels like this desert area. It feels like they saw that demo and was like, oh, we can do that with Star Wars. And they just pulled right into it because it's so cool because you can see something in the distance, almost like a Breath of the Wild moment, and then you play for like 30 minutes and then you're able to get over to it after traversing this like Metroidvania type maze that they include in each level. And it's just so cool. And it's like Yeah, the story is great and the combat is great, but some of the most fun I've had has just been like running along walls and climbing up mountains and just exploring like the different like secrets and stuff that are there. It's such a cool, world and literally multiple worlds to explore as you go through.
Yes.
It's scary. It's scary, man, because we're getting to a point where I mean, AI are developing whole fucking videos of like the president saying some shit. I watched a video earlier today of a completely AI generated pizza commercial, and that shit had me dying laughing.
AI generated a Collateral Cinema episode and a Collateral Gaming episode.
Yep. Yeah. But
I don't exist. It's fine.
Well, we're getting to that point where things are becoming so realistic and so detailed that pretty soon we're going to start playing video games that looks like we're watching a fucking TV show, a live action TV show.
Yeah.
And I'm scared, but I'm also really excited to see that, because once we get to that point, how much better is it going to get? You know?
It's been a long 5 years. We've tried to resist. Fear and mistrust rule the galaxy.
Cal, look into the fire. It will warm you, keep you company. But left unchecked, it will consume everything until there is only ash.
How could you let the galaxy fall to this unworthy machine of an empire?
Hope may feel beyond our grasp. But I think we finally found somewhere the Empire can't reach us.
Imagine. No more looking over your shoulder.
A place that's worth fighting for. No matter the cost.
Yeah, and with the power of the next generation of the current generation of consoles, I'm glad that this game was an exclusive, by the way, because with the power of current gen, we really can bring that to life. Like you said, this is damn near close. This is as close as we've gotten to like watching, television. Besides, like I would say, like The Last of Us. Like this This is really, really good. I mean, you can see like the finer details of. Megan, you said it was Cameron Moynihan?
Cameron Moynihan. That's Cameron how I've heard it. Yeah.
Okay. It's Moynihan.
Moynihan. Okay. It's Irish.
Is he really? That makes sense. He's a ginger.
Well, I was just saying that the name is. But yeah, Cameron Moynihan, like you can like see like the individual strands of his hair and everything, and
yes,
so it's just such a beautiful experience. And piggybacking off of something that you said, Dan, I love how these worlds are even more open than the last one. I think that that's really where they improved on the formula of the last game, and that it's significantly less linear. I mean, it is still a linear experience, but every planet kind of has more of an open feel to it, and there's much more to do. I mean, even whenever you first land on Kobo, the first planet besides Coruscant, which is the prologue that you come in on, and the kind of the equivalent of Bogano in some ways, but also
Bogano, yeah.
But also more than that, because it has its own like whole areas that.
And Kobo is fucking huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
It is.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
These maps are so fucking big, y'all. Like I cannot handle this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like, it's like, oh, you're 50% explored. I'm like, oh, cool. That's the surface.
Yeah,
literally the surface of the planet. Just wait.
It's so big. And I don't think there are really that many planets in the game, because I'm most of the way through the story, and I've only unlocked, Kobo and Jeddah along with Coruscant. so like Fallen Order, there aren't that many planets, but they're significantly bigger, and so it makes the whole like retreading and exploring new areas of each planet, that kind of Metroidvania style progression, like you were saying, it makes that all the more refreshing, because I mean these areas feel wholly different, and there's just so much more to do, and like I feel like I've gotten through the story pretty quickly, but then I just come to realize like how big each section is and how long it takes to get through it, and there's so much to do in between, and the game is really good about giving you the opportunity to go back and kind of decide where you want to go each chapter. And so, there's just plenty to do. There's more side questing available. I mean, we have got these different kinds of collectibles, but they all like have different purposes and work in different shops. And then we've got full on side quests now, and that's something that's new.
Mm-hmm. The side quests are so cool, and there are things that relate back. Like there's more of like a hub area and places that you can go back and you can revisit. And the details in these areas, I think in the first game, there was the planet that the Jedi temple was on, if I remember. It felt a little bland to me. It felt just like these large landscapes, but there wasn't a lot of detail there. And here, it really feels like you can get lost in the amount of detail and different things that you can go. The town on Kobo that you can go into, like the saloon if you want. And there's like a garden rooftop that you can go.
Saloon.
Like works with stuff. It's so cool. And I think that's my favorite thing, that there have been times where I've taken a detour of like an hour or two, and it's like, let's just run around and see what there is to see on this planet. And it's cool. There's like fishermen you can meet, and there's other stuff to do outside of the main quests. And that's such a fun thing to get lost in, especially for like a Star Wars property, because there's so much stuff in the Star Wars universe to do. So it's really nice when a game allows you to take the time to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
we're getting to that point where that third game is going to be massive, and I'm really excited to see where they take it, because you've got Fallen Order, and then you've got Survivor, which feels almost twice as big, and then the third game, which honestly they could call it Jedi Redeemer or something like that. That'd be pretty dope.
I want to see what kind of abilities you can get in the next one. I mean, because this one really
you become God.
Yeah, this
you
really
become Obi-Wan,
and you start with everything that you had in Fallen Order: the Jedi flip, the force pull and force push. Force slow has been changed as a mechanic a little bit, so there aren't like any puzzles revolving around that aspect anymore. Instead, it's kind of like an ultimate
combat ability,
with cooldown, which is fine, Although I did kind of miss it, but there is so much more to fill the gap too now, because in addition to starting with those and even like the hacking droids with BD thing, and they added 2 or 3 new stances. Fully expanding the split saber stance, which was just a single attack in the last game. They made it into a fully realized stance that's a lot of fun. They added a blaster stance that incorporates a blaster with another
That's my
lightsaber.
favorite one. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
I fucking love that shit. Boom, boom, pow.
And a crossguard stance like Kylo Ren's. All of which was promoted before the game, so not a spoiler.
Also, can I just say, how the fuck does this dude die? Because let's be fucking for real. He knows 4 different stances. Obi-Wan used 1. Vader uses 1. And this motherfucker's like, here's a blaster, bitch. Double blade, bitch. Surprise, motherfucker. Crossguard. You're like, how the fuck? Like, this dude is rednecking it all through the fucking galaxy.
Crossguard is actually a really difficult stance, though.
It is.
It's difficult to master, but rewarding if you do, because it's so good. It's just slow and like heavy hitting, and so like there are definitely advantages. Like my current setup that I have is because you can equip 2 stances at a time at meditation points, and so I currently have the blaster and the crossguard equipped.
Blaster and double blades.
Blaster and double blades. I had that for a while.
I go between. I always have double blades equipped. That's my favorite. And Ahsoka is my favorite Star Wars character, so very inspired.
Yes.
By her. And then I go between the crossguard and then the dual blade, because that is just awesome, and I can feel like Darth Maul when I wield that. And I wish you could equip more stances at once, and maybe again not that far in the game. Maybe you unlock more as you go along. I don't know. But I've been spoiled by Ghost of Tsushima, where you have all 4 of your stances and you can just go between them very flawlessly. So I would like in the next game, like that's something I would want, is the ability to be able to just like effortlessly swap between your stances, because I don't really see a logical reason why he wouldn't be able to do that apart from just artificially inflating the difficulty of the game. So I want to have more versatility in the actual combat abilities that he has at any given time.
If you think about it, at the beginning of Survivor, you kind of learn to use another stance at the beginning. And so maybe he has to get in touch with the Force and meditate so that he can figure out where to place his power. So in the next game, where it's more in the future, he will have mastered how to just use the Force or use his mind or use his abilities, whatever, to quickly move to a next stance, which is kind of how they did it with this game regarding, skills and stuff. You kind of maintain all that stuff. So
yeah,
there's a lot of fluidity with it.
Explain the Dark Souls respawn mechanic in universe.
Also, can I say, because we're talking about Dark Souls, and can we all just agree? I understand why Vader blew the fuck up Jeddah. I get it. I fucking get it. Because fuck that goddamn scorpion. Fuck that little bitch.
Yeah, no kidding. That scorpion was a bitch to beat. I remember that.
I'm like,
although if you just fight it on the left side, it's so much easier.
That is true.
There have been several like optional boss battles against beasts that it felt just hitting my head against a wall, and then I haven't gone back to them. I should at this point, because you can like build up your skills and get stronger and then come back and do that. So I need to go back and defeat some of the monsters and figure out like what they're guarding, because I want to know. I want to unlock stuff.
There's an Easter egg with one of them that ties to ROTJ. Why am I thinking only ROTJ?
I was debating whether or not that's too much of a spoiler. I'll leave it a surprise, but yeah. That one kicked my ass. I had a very difficult time with that one, and
you can cheese
I had to come back to it.
You can cheese the shit out of him. I did it.
I came back with the cross guard stance, and I had a lot better chances. But tell me how to cheese that boss battle when we're done with this. I'd love to hear.
I got you.
Yeah. What difficulty have you guys been playing on?
Jedi
Grandmaster.
Master, yeah.
Okay, so I'm the plebe on Jedi Knight. I'll bump it up to Master, I guess.
I played the last game on Knight, and then at the very, very end, actually, the last game I started in Master, went to Dathomir early, and completed the whole first early Dathomir section.
Oh my god.
Fuck Dathomir and fuck Jeddah.
Or no, Dathomir made me switch to Knight, and so then I played the majority of the game on Knight. And then at the very, very end, when you're fighting the second sister, I had to switch it to Padawan. I was getting too frustrated, and I wasn't having fun anymore. So I finally caved in. But this game I've been playing in Master, and it's been just about my my level. And my recent playthrough of Fallen Order, I also was on Master.
There is a cameo. There is a boss. I am not going to spoil it, but I bumped all the way down to... I don't even remember. What's the beginner level on this game?
There's
is it
a
Padawan?
Story mode.
Story. So I bumped all the way down to story for that, because fuck that shit. It was hard. I died against that person.
I'm just picturing Sebulba, and I don't think it would be Sebulba, but I want to battle Sebulba now from Phantom Menace, or get like a pod racer and go up against him.
I would love that. That would be so fun.
That would be great. Okay, so the thing that I love about Star Wars, I'm going to get on a soapbox for a moment here, is that it means so much to so many people, myself included. It's my favorite thing in the universe. And it's the thing I like about it, and why I don't tear down like Star Wars properties. I know there are strong opinions about the Star Wars sequels. I really like them. But even if I didn't like them, I wouldn't go around just tearing them down. The reason being, there are so many Star Wars fans from all over the world, and every single Star Wars property, whether it's like a book or a game or a TV show or whatever, is going to be someone's favorite thing. And just as someone who loves this universe, I don't feel that it's my place to go around and telling people what parts of it are good and what parts of it are not good. And I love that we have this video game that feels like a celebration of all of these different areas. And yeah, it exists in its era, so we're not going to see things like, Rey and Kylo Ren and, the people in the sequels show up here in this game. But it's just so cool that people who are wanting to experience a video game on this level, they have the option to do that. And it brings me a lot of joy, and I love playing the game. But almost more than that, it's like we would not be here talking about it if the game didn't exist, if Star Wars didn't exist. Seeing everyone at Star Wars Celebration get really hyped and excited about this game was really cool, and knowing that they'll continue this series and hopefully do other games that are just as good, if not better, in the future. It just brings me a lot of hope for what the future of Star Wars is going to be, and I'm just so psyched that we're here to experience it. A lot of people they've gotten like down on like what Disney has been doing, but we were in a drought for a very long time. Like Star Wars, we just were not getting enough of it. Now we're getting a lot of it, and I'm never going to complain about that. So I'm just really happy at the state that we're in right now for Star Wars.
I'm right there with you, Dan. Just be happy there's Star Wars content. I mean, that is a good thing. I personally like you. I like the sequels. I think they're okay. They're not my favorite, but they're pretty good. I have some problems with The Last Jedi. It's probably my least favorite Star Wars film.
Yeah.
And yet on its own, it's a great fucking film, and there are so many good things about it. And again, at the end of the day, it's like we're getting more Star Wars. Take it or leave it. And if you don't like it, it's okay. But all that means is that we're getting more opportunities for more Star Wars because, like some people, despite how negatively the sequels were received, they did well commercially. And because of that, we're getting more. We got The Mandalorian. We got Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. So, like this is good shit. And I'm just happy to see more Star Wars. Now, again, if there was a little bit more cohesion, and I think we're seeing more of that finally all around, I think it would be better. But like I said, with Filoni in charge now, it's like,
oh yeah, and Favreau.
Yeah.
It's something. It's like I said earlier on in the podcast, I was not a fan of Star Wars as a younger kid. I was more of a Trekkie, and I still am a Trekkie, but I love Star Wars. I feel like there's so much cultivation that can be had and made with this fandom in this universe. I started it a while back, but I have since stopped. But now that I have a Kindle, I'm going to pursue it again. There is something that if you're listening to the podcast and you are a Star Wars fan and you want to go through all the media, there is something called the Star Wars Canon Challenge, which you read all of the books tied to Star Wars, you read all of the comics, you watch all of the shows, you watch all the movies, and you play all of the games. It is so cool, and I love that there is something dedicated to that, and that there's this many people in the world dedicated to that. And for some people, somewhere that they feel like they can fit in, and there's a group that they fit in with because there's so many people, and it's heavily commercialized, but also I feel like at the same time, like we as a fandom are so welcoming and accepting now.
Are we though?
Like 10, 15 years ago, no, because when I was a kid, I fucking hated Star Wars fans. Now it's like, oh, you watch The Mandalorian, bro, you got to watch this show, you got to watch this, you got to do this, you got to do this. Like, because there's added content, it gives room for new fans, and it gives room for more people to appreciate it. Like I said, at the beginning of the episode, my parents are moving in with me. They're retiring. I'm taking care of them. I now, as an adult, get to show my dad Star Wars content that he's never seen before, and I get to watch him be like a giddy little kid again because he loves Mark Hamill and he loves Star Wars. He's just more of a Trekkie, and that's okay. But the fact that I get to show him, this game, and I'll get to show him Din Djarin and show him Ahsoka Tano and show him like how much this has expanded since the 70s, since he was in the Coast Guard. Like, it's an amazing thing. Like, you get to tie generations together. It's 100%. So fucking cool.
Yeah. And on Mark Hamill, I'm glad that you mentioned him because there is another clip that's really, really awesome with Cameron Moynihan and Mark Hamill that's just absolutely brilliant. I know I shared it with you guys. I've watched that so many times because it's so good.
I love them, and I love how supportive Mark Hamill is of the game and how excited he is for like different media too. It's a cool fandom to be fucking involved in, guys.
I love Mark Hamill. I love his spicy tweets. I love everything about him.
He's the sass master.
We just did an episode on Collateral Cinema of Corvette Summer.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mark Hamill and Annie Potts. And you know what's funny is he's not actually the best part about that film, Annie Potts is, but it's probably his most like manic performance ever, but it's like you gotta love it because it's Mark Hamill.
Absolutely. Mark Hamill is like one of the brightest lights, I feel like, in Hollywood sometimes. He's always up for like telling stories and interacting with fans, and he's very aware of, being part of this really like amazing, incredible thing. He was just at the star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame dedication for Carrie Fisher, and he spoke that. Yeah. That was incredible to see. And so seeing him get involved with this game and be part of the marketing of it is just so awesome. And he's been involved with some of the new Disney Plus shows as well, and he's been kind of a force there, literally and figuratively as well. So it's just been so cool to see. I am really excited for 2027 because that is the year that it will be the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. And I have a feeling that Disney and everyone involved is probably going to roll out some really cool stuff that year for the 50th celebration. So, good things to come for us later this decade.
That'll also probably be when we get the third game.
Probably.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that timeline does work out. So
that does work out.
And that'll be probably the tail end of like the current console generation, depending, what our generations anymore, but it might end up being one of the last games we'd see on like the PS5 / Series S and X type consoles.
Before the PS6 and the Xbox One 94 times 10 to the square root of 4 comes out.
Whatever the fuck they call it.
Seriously.
The Xbox whole unit.
The Nintendo Switch U Deluxe squared.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, hell yeah, guys.
I guess let's get into our final thoughts here. Starting with Dan as our guest. What are your final thoughts on, or I guess your final thoughts so far?
So I'm loving this game. I'm between like 10 and 12 hours in. Still a whole lot to explore and a lot to do. It's a slow-paced story at times, which I think can catch you a little off guard if you're not expecting it. But if you're just there along for the ride, like don't rush through this experience, I guess is my best advice. Really enjoy like the different worlds you're seeing and live in that universe. But I am really loving it. I was going to hold off and wait. It's probably going to come to Game Pass in like 6 months or so. I couldn't wait, so I got it on PS5. And I've just been having a really good time with it. I hope if people are playing and they've listened to us, they're having a good time with it. If you haven't played it or are curious about checking out Fallen Order and want to check this game out, I definitely recommend it. There's it's great for Star Wars fans and it's great for video game fans. So if you fall under either one, this is a really cool game to pick up.
Hell yeah, man. Great. All right. How about you, Zach?
To be honest, after finishing the game, it is a 9.5 out of 10 experience. I absolutely love it. I think that if you are a fan of Star Wars, if you enjoyed Fallen Order, this is an absolute must. For me, I couldn't wait. I bought it. I bought the deluxe edition on release day. I'm a member of EA Play or whatever that shit is called. So I got it. I got the deluxe edition for like $10 off. I've enjoyed every second of it. I've got like 21, 22 hours logged and I've beaten the story, but now I'm just kind of running around collecting everything. Mm-hmm. So I highly advise diving into it. It's an amazing experience. The story is quite touching and, the game already comes with New Game Plus. So dive in as soon as I'm diving right back in as soon as I finish everything so that I can just fully enjoy the story again. But yeah, no, I love it. Phenomenal game. Can't wait for number 3.
Fucking A, man. Megan?
I'm with both of y'all so far on your final thoughts. I loved Cal Kestis' story originally, and I love it again. I think this was an amazing game. I've already finished it. Alan and I finished it together. He was not able to be on this episode because he is in another state doing work as he does. But
we're all in different states.
He's in Kentucky and I'm in Georgia. He's working. He's working on X-ray units. I'm sorry. But yeah, this was a great experience, and Alan and I played it together, and it was so much fun. And it was a little bit of a reminiscent time for us too, because our first episode together was Fallen Order. So we've come full circle, and we love it. And we love the Star Wars universe. We're moving into a house, and we're planning on buying all of the memorabilia that we can. And I think this is a great experience for any gamer, really. But if you're a fan of Star Wars and you're thinking about picking up either one of the games, it is so much fun. It is a great time, and I just 110% recommend it. You'll fall in love with all of the mechanics that you have, all of your characters, all of your side characters. Scuba Sev looking at you, my guy. It's just great, and I think it's something that, of course, we needed to talk about because we're all fans of the series and we all love it. But also just as a gamer in general, it picks up a lot of cues from games that have come out in recent times, and it's just so much fucking fun. Like, there are some points where you want to throw the controller, but you just can't wait to pick it up and continue doing and going through Cal Kestis' journey. And there's nothing else I could recommend as a gamer.
Nice. Yeah, 100% agree. I love everything they've done with this game. Again, probably could have waited a little while. There was no real reason to get it out within this time frame. But despite that, phenomenal game. Fantastic job from everybody at Respawn. I've loved every second of it so far. As someone who, like Dan, I haven't beat the game yet either. I'm midway through, I believe, chapter 4 or... and still enjoying the hell out of it. I may not finish it before Tears of the Kingdom comes out, but that's okay. I'll come back to it because it literally will be the next game on my list because it has just been absolutely incredible. Everything I loved about Fallen Order and more. I mean, hell, you can even do, we didn't talk about this, you can do fucking Jedi mind tricks. Like, shit, there's a whole mechanic around confusing enemies, and making them fight each other.
So cool.
And even some story moments where you can, use the Jedi mind trick to progress. I mean, there's even an optional area you can get to in the game where you can make these guys lower a shield for you just by using a Jedi mind trick. And I feel like that was the one thing that I had forgotten about that wasn't there in Fallen Order. That really just shows how far Cal has come as a Jedi. I mean, because I believe we mentioned in our last review that at the end of Fallen Order, Cal is the equivalent of a regular Jedi Knight. Your run-of-the-mill Jedi Knight. Would stand no chance against Vader. That's horrifying. In this game, he's really come into his own, and he's kind of starting to make his way up there, maybe towards the master level. We'll see how the end plays out here. And obviously, I think there's room for a sequel. Again, I haven't beat it yet, but from what I've heard, there's definitely room for more. And how great it would be if this became the Star Wars trilogy that everybody's been waiting for.
Oh, yes. Abso-fucking-lutely, my guy.
So, hell yeah. Well, alrighty then. We'll go ahead and get into our plugs here. Starting with you, Dan. What's going on with Victims and Villains, Tech Raptor, and everything you're doing?
Absolutely, yeah. I know Victims and Villains are chugging along and getting out, new content over there. They've been on a bit of a hiatus, but I know there's some good stuff in the pipeline there. So definitely keep an eye out for what they are working on and what we're doing over there. Over at Tech Raptor, I'm going to be doing a lot of content this month about Zelda, maybe some Star Wars stuff. And I've got, some other articles from floating around as well. So if you want to check me out there, you can look up my name at techraptor.com. And otherwise, my Twitter is drock6499. I just retweet a lot of video game stuff. And those are the best places you can find me.
Hell yeah. And we'll have some more of Dan the Man in our next episode on our season finale on The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Yes, it's coming. Yes, this Friday we'll be playing it. And maybe a week later we will be talking about it. And at least part one. Part one will be spoiler-free like this episode, but then part two, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. So can't wait to have you again for that. Can't wait to have all four of us together once again. And like I always say, Dan, you're welcome on any time. I mean, hell, at this point, you know, you're hardly even a guest.
I know. I'm like, guest?
It feels great to be here. I'm so happy I found you guys, and I'm always down to talk video games with cool people. So always happy to come back on.
Hell yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
So
please come back anytime. We love you, Dan.
Aw. I love that we didn't end up doing this, but we got Jedi Survivor the same day. We were all playing it the same day. We had a group chat, and like that was just so fun. Like talking, I love talking games, and even when we're not doing the podcast, we're talking about it in other mediums. So it's been cool, and I'm sure we'll be chatting about Tears of the Kingdom as we're all playing through that as well.
Oh yeah,
most definitely. So I cannot wait for that, and I can't wait for Collateral Gaming Season 5. Getting into the planning stages. Season 6. This is Season 5.
I was going to say, what? Hold on.
See, even I lost track. Season 6, which we are, entering the planning stages of. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot more to look forward to. I know there's new games coming out that's going to make it even more exciting. And like I said, Zelda is going to be a blast. But you can find Collateral Gaming wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Apple, Spotify, Google. We'll have it all in the show notes. And check us out on social media as well, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you enjoy what we do and you want to support us, we do also have a Patreon. And as soon as I get a new capture card or the next time I visit San Antonio and use bows, we'll get some more Let's Play video game commentary content out for our patrons.
Yeah, I want to do some stuff for the Patreon too. Let me move first and get established, and then I promise. I know I've been saying it for a dang year now, but I promise I've been trying. It's just 800 square feet is not enough to have capture cards and everything and all the equipment that you need, especially when you have a desk this small and you have 5 laptops on it. So it's fine. Everything's fine.
Hey man, I just turned my fucking living room into a recording space. I'm gonna put some foam panels up and shit because this is my space. I'm thinking about putting like some blankets up and shit over the openings, and that way I can kind of soundproof this a little bit. It would probably be a bummer if someone started loudly playing music outside, so should find a way to work against that. I thought about converting like the walk-in closet to a recording space, but then I was like, nah, I'd rather be in here, have the TV in front of me. I mean, right now I have a playthrough of Survivor on in the background, so that's handy.
Snazzy.
Hell yeah. Alrighty, well, I guess that's it for this episode, everyone. That being said, I've been Ashley Chancellor.
I have been and always will be Zachary Gio.
I've been Megan Gomez.
And I am currently Dan Rockwood.
This has been Collateral Gaming, and you have enjoyed this episode.
You have enjoyed this episode.
I have enjoyed this episode.
That was so good.
Collateral Gaming is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and game clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.